Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the GOWEN Racing Podcast. You got your boys here, Jay Cook and myself, to talk about some Michigan. We are off of another week off. Jay, I think this the week we just took off actually might be maybe the last one we do of the year, hopefully, because I think the rest of the races are Sunday afternoons, and the only night race I think is a Saturday night now. So I think this works out pretty well.
Yeah, potentially. We've had several off weeks lately. I don't know if we've consistently uploaded these podcasts on a week-to-week basis in close to 2 months.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I believe my trip to Gary started the off weeks, and we've just had a consistent amount of off weeks happening with circumstances over the past 2 months. So it would be nice if we can get back to uploading them every week again.
I think we're going to be able to get on a consistent train starting this week, hopefully. But yeah, we're recording this, I don't know what, 3 hours after the
there is
Cup race. Go on.
The Southern 500, it is on a Sunday.
Oh, okay.
That's our last. Well, I guess Las Vegas too, way later in the year, is also that starts at 5:30 on a Sunday. So those might be the other two that we have issues with. But other than that, I think we're good.
We'll figure things out. How was your day?
NASCAR. That's about
NASCAR.
the best I can put it is NASCAR.
You know what I did?
What'd you do?
I updated my BIOS on my computer.
Wow.
Yeah, on my own.
You finally did it?
On my own, Mr. Cook, I did it.
Let's go. Good for you. Good for you. What'd you have to do?
I had to update it.
Oh, just actually update the BIOS.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to change a setting or whatever. Okay.
No, I had to go in the BIOS. I had to format I had to wipe all of my data off of my old external SSD so I could format it to what I needed to format it to.
Yeah.
And it worked. And so my one test was, Stalker 2. I downloaded that game long time ago.
Whenever Stalker 2?
No, it was on the Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you still had Game Pass.
So I downloaded it, and I got this error message at the start of the game. Basically, I couldn't play it. And I looked up the error message, and it was yeah, it's because of the faulty CPUs that were with whatever generation it was that I have.
Yeah.
And then, so now that I've updated the BIOS, I was like, oh, okay, the perfect test would be, let's see if I can play Stalker 2. I load in a Stalker 2, not a problem.
Well, there you go.
So I can...
So, I didn't know that I didn't know that updating your BIOS was a thing. And I don't know if it's
I didn't really know it was either.
I guess, because
well,
I have never updated my BIOS on my computer, so...
You can, but you shouldn't have to. But, my situation was the CPU was faulty, so that's why I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I left it...
CPU moment.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to be fine with mine. I'm waiting on mine to explode any day now.
I think, as well, I tested iRacing out, because when we were playing iRacing, I would kind of notice a few stutters here and there. And now everything's just running buttery smooth. So, W's all around.
As it should with the computer you have.
As it should. So, it seems like we're on the right track now, and hopefully it stays that way. So we'll see how that goes. But finally, kind of got some important things with that taken care of that I could have taken care of over a year ago, but I didn't. So here we are. But we've got it sorted now. But we're not a tech podcast. We're not the Gary and Jay Tech Tips. We could be.
I don't know if it'd be very successful, though.
Probably not.
I don't think we'd be very good at that.
But we're here to talk about NASCAR. NASCAR at Michigan. And, just quick thoughts. Top 3 race of the year for sure. You know what? I came into it. I thought about last year, and the race was exactly how I expected it to be. I remembered how it was last year with the draft and the momentum. And if you start side drafting someone, you're just the guy behind you is just gonna haul up on you.
They're gonna get a huge run, yeah.
And I was like, I'm fairly confident we're gonna see the exact same thing this year, and we got exactly that. But I felt like it was even more significant this time around, but in a good way. That was a banger of a race.
Yeah, that was top 2 race of the year for me, and I don't know if I would put it above or below the 600. I have a hard time choosing which one would be my favorite, but for sure a top 2 race of the year in my opinion.
Charlotte, Michigan, Coda would definitely be my top 3.
Yeah, Coda definitely somewhere in the top 5 for me as well. Coda was like a very early on banger.
And we have, by the way, like 3 road courses coming up. We got
3 road courses. We got Atlanta coming up again. Unfortunately, Pocono as well, though. That's gonna stink.
Yeah, we got Mexico next week, and then
I think Mexico
Pocono
is gonna be fun just because new track and the fans are gonna be fun. I don't know how the
I think the atmosphere is gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
Like the atmosphere outside of North America is always really cool. But yeah, but the bracket challenge, you got like Atlanta and Chicago and Sonoma. Like three of the 5 races are wild card. 2
in the Oh, sorry, 2. Yeah, 2 road courses in
a super
challenge?
speedway.
Wow, I didn't know that was 2.
So you got 3. You basically have 3 wild card races, and then you end it with Dover and Indy.
At the same time, like, I would say that the road courses are not near as wild card as you would expect. Because sure, you can get some occasional surprise.
Shane Van Gisbergen's gonna win,
that, but he's not even in the bracket challenge, so that's not gonna.
Oh
matter.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's not like you get spread. Like, I don't know if you saw Hamlin's podcast from this past week.
I listen to it every Monday.
He was talking about how just kind of dumb they did this whole thing, like with the seating.
Oh yeah, the seating's terrible.
And the schedule for it is also dumb, because he was mentioning like I'm going to be specifically racing that guy for that week, not caring so much about stage points. I want to beat that guy having the seating. And then he made a point where like on a road course you're gonna get spread out, and there's a really good chance you may not be racing that guy or even have a chance to race that guy that you're facing that at that specific week. And I fully agree with him. I think having the road courses as a part of it is kind of dumb. In my opinion.
Think one road course is okay.
Ovals. Yeah, but
not 2.
Super speedway in it, and then 2 road courses, which makes up over half of the challenge. It's just like, okay, well that's kind of dumb. It's a little silly for that.
You know what I love right now though is we have, and I love it every year, is we've hit that like, to me at least, we've hit that summer NASCAR feeling now.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel it last week, but I really felt it this week. And I'm like, summer NASCAR is here, and like summer NASCAR always just hits different.
Summer NASCAR, there's nothing better than NASCAR in the summertime, and especially when it's a night race. And we've had that the last 2 weeks, and we're back to the daytime races again. And we will only have, I guess, 2 more night races in the summer. Maybe 3 if you count the Southern 500. But it's just, I want more night races, man. Why are we ratings or whatever? I don't care. NASCAR has so much aura in the nighttime, dude. Bring them back.
Our next night race is
Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's right. Yeah. A couple weeks from now.
Then
Daytona.
Bristol. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that's right. Daytona, too. So I guess excuse me.
Oh, Richmond as well. Richmond as well. Back to back. Richmond and then Daytona.
Is there more night races than I thought?
Oh, look, we got 3 back-to-back night races. We got Richmond, Daytona to end the regular season,
right.
and then Darlington, and then Bristol a couple weeks after, and then that should be
All right,
it.
never mind. There's more than I thought. That's pretty good. I'll take that.
Well, yeah, you know what? I'll give them credit.
We've had like maybe 3 night races the entire year, and it's been really annoying.
I'll give NASCAR a little bit of credit on that.
And maybe that has a little bit of something to do with TNT and Prime as well. Like maybe they're more willing to move from the daytime afternoon start times. I don't know if that is the case or not, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Who knows? You know, I also want to give NASCAR credit before we really talk about Michigan. Ram was officially announced today, coming into the Truck Series. I mean, we already knew for a couple of weeks that it was happening. But yeah, the Ram truck coming into the Craftsman Truck Series, and I think it looks pretty slick. And
it looks good.
Hopefully it's kind of the building blocks to bring Dodge back into the Cup Series in 3 years, maybe 3-4 years. Did you see what they said about the like audience, and like how
Yes,
if
which
they
I
were going to
thought
be in
was
Cup,
actually insane.
and they were like, what, NASCAR's audience is around 20 million, and they
Yeah,
wanted it to be
and they
like
want
80
to.
to 100.
Yeah,
And then I think it was right at the end of the quote, they were like talking about how they think they can actually manage to do that.
yeah.
I don't think they can.
Which like I think they're probably correct with the 20 million number. I think they're probably correct with that when you total in like international audience, the people that just like watch NASCAR maybe on a casual basis or consume NASCAR's content just
Yeah, I
over the
believe that
week
number.
in between the race. Like I think the 20 million number is right. I do not think you can just look at the numbers that they get for TV ratings and like that's the only fans NASCAR has. That's definitely not true. But saying that you as a manufacturer can come in and help grow the sport up to 80 to 100 million. First of all, I think it would be impossible for just a manufacturer to help with that, but also I like that's a huge massive number. It you maybe had that number at NASCAR's peak in the late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. You maybe got close to that number, and that was at NASCAR's absolute peak. We are never getting back to that again, unfortunately.
What does the NFL like? What's their like audience? Is it around that kind of number,
I
or
would
is it
have to
more?
look. I would assume more, considering just. I mean, you could say more just because the Super Bowl gets like a billion. No, not a billion. Sorry, that's way it gets like 100 million or whatever it is. So you could probably say more than 100 million. And I would assume it's more if you also include international audience because the international audience for the NFL is actually fucking massive. So I assume it's way above that.
Interesting. Well, certainly some bold aspirations for Dodge, or we're not like supposed to call it Dodge yet or whatever. What's the parent company? Starts with
Stellantis.
Stellantis, whatever that is. They got some bold plans, and as well like the whole Cleetus McFarland situation. Is it sounds like they kind of want to bring him in for one of their truck teams next year. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I think for obvious reason, but I don't know how I feel about that.
I I have two different ways of looking at it, and in one way it's a good way, and one way it's a bad way.
It's
And,
great
and
for
obviously,
exposure.
it's great for exposure. It's great for him. He's built
You know
up
what?
a massive YouTube channel.
That kind
He
of goes
has
in
done a
line.
lot of. Oh, go ahead.
That goes right in line with their whole talk about how they have a
Well,
plan
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
exactly.
viewers, right?
Like,
So
yeah, and that's why I think it's a good thing because it's not like that he's just some guy that's some YouTuber that has done nothing with cars and done nothing with racing and all that kind of stuff and is just some random YouTuber that's buying his way into the sport. Like I could see if it was anybody else, you're like, oh my God, why are you doing this? I'm gonna criticize the shit out of this. Cletus McFarland, like Cletus McFarland is a character. The guy behind the character, I can't remember his name, but
Garrett
the guy behind
something.
the character, I Garrett, right? He's genuinely a smart dude, and he is. I think he's a legitimate actual mechanic. He's at least done enough on his YouTube channel to have the whereabout or the knowledge to be a mechanic. He's done a bunch of racing shit. He's done a bunch of just general car shit in general. Like I think that give him some time, I think he could genuinely in the lower series ARCA or truck series be a genuine like okay competitor. And if you want to bring eyes to the sport, if you want to bring new fans to the sport, there's no better way for Dodge to come back to NASCAR, hype that up, and then also hype that up with getting Cleetus McFarland in one of your teams and give him a full-time ride. Like there's no better way to start that journey if that's Dodges or Rams or Stellantis, whatever you want to call it. If that's their true goal, there's no better way than doing that. So in one sense, yeah, it's a little dumb, it's a little silly. He's not an actual race
It's
car
a gimmick.
driver, but it is a gimmick. But I'm not going to hate on it too much because it's the truck series. There's all kinds of paid drivers in the truck series and the ARCA series, anyways.
Xfinity and
I
Cup.
and Xfinity, somewhat Cup, yes. There's paid drivers in every level of the sport, and I will give him more credit than most because it's not like he is some spoiled dude coming in saying, I just want to race cars and I have no background in this at all. Like he has a big background. So I, if he does get a full-time ride in the Truck Series next year and that's a thing that Dodge wants to promote, fine with me. I think it'll be good for the sport overall. So why not?
Yeah, if it helps the long-term health of our sport, I'm
These
down with it.
days, anything to get viewers back, like not necessarily gimmicks with the racing itself, but anything to get viewers back. And the biggest thing that's going to get viewers back is personalities in the sport. You can make all the changes you want to the cars and to the racing. People tuned into NASCAR in the 90s and 2000s because of Dale Earnhardt, because of then Jeff Gordon coming in to challenge Dale Earnhardt. Before that, it was Petty and all these other big name drivers, Darrell Waltrip. Like, they tuned in for the names, for the drivers, for the personalities. That's the biggest thing we got to have. And there's no denying that Cleetus McFarland is a personality.
He is certainly a personality. There's another YouTuber in the ARCA series. I don't know if you know him. Cody something.
Dennison?
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
The only difference there is Cleetus McFarland's cool and the Cody guy's not. But
yeah.
we're not going to dive into that one. He's a personality, just a really awful human personality. But yeah, before we jump into Michigan, one more bit. I did also see NASCAR said that they're also really close to a deal with Honda.
Which is like
awesome.
I feel like, okay, I want to agree with you, but at the same time, I feel like you look at the teams now, you look at the team structure now with 3 manufacturers. There's only a handful of big teams with a large amount of cars, and B, the resources to be a big team. There's only a few of those teams. If you want to come into the sport as a manufacturer and be one of those top teams, you're not going to rip away a Hendrick Motorsport, a Joe Gibbs, a Team Penske from their manufacturers already. You're going to have to hope that you can partner with a team who you can then pour a bunch of money into to build them up, because they're not going to already have those resources in place. And I feel like if you start stretching to 3 and 4 manufacturers, like I don't know if you're going to get that return on investment. And I feel like that is what would keep manufacturers from joining the sport, first of all. And second of all, I think it would make them leave pretty quickly. And I don't know if I like the idea of us having 4 manufacturers in the sport. I think it becomes then too, I don't know if watered down is the right term, but it just feels like they would not be competitive and they would dip, and it would really screw some teams over.
Obviously I don't really, I'm a complete moron when it comes to like logistics of that type of stuff, so I can't really say anything, but I want to think about it the way of it would succeed. So
I agree. It's just also like when I really look at it, it's like, well, you already have Ford,
look at a
Toyota,
Hayek
and
or
Chevy
something
established. Okay, but they don't have the resources, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
But what if the manufacturer is bringing resources?
That's my point, is they would have to pour a fuck ton of money into the sport. If you were to somehow strip away Hendrick Motorsports from Chevrolet to bring in Honda, right? Hendrick has already got a massive shop, a massive employee group, a massive, they own their own engine dynos and their own almost everything they can to build their cars and build their engines and all that kind of stuff. If you're Honda, you come in and you have those resources to then help you along. You don't have to build that stuff for that team. If you acquire a smaller team, now you have got to pour a fuck ton of money into building your engines, to building new shops for the engines, and just it takes a lot more money, which is what I'm saying. I don't know if they would be committed to that. I don't know if we would get a manufacturer committed to that.
I see what you're saying. I don't want you to join our sport if you're not willing to put in the money to succeed, you know?
To a point, I agree with that, right? It would take an egregious amount of money, though. It really would.
They got no problem doing it in the Formula One, IndyCar, and whatever,
they make
everything.
A shit ton of money in Formula One, brother. They will not make that money in NASCAR.
Hey, you can make
IndyCar,
a couple dollars every weekend.
They've had Honda and Chevy and IndyCar for like over a decade now.
Yeah, but they've been talking about leaving IndyCar.
Exactly, because they're not making money back.
So
they probably
you
wouldn't
go.
make much money back in NASCAR either. with how much they have to spend.
Well, would you rather make a little bit more money in NASCAR where more people watch, or make less money back in IndyCar where 7 people are watching every week?
I think they would rather just leave IndyCar and not go to NASCAR and save the money overall.
That's boring. That's a boring idea.
Okay, but that's why we're not CEOs. That's why we're not the ones in charge of making billions of dollars a year.
I would bankrupt every company I ran. But Michigan. Let's talk about Michigan. we kind of got off track there to start the podcast, but that was some good talking conversations to start the weekend. What did happen in Michigan? They raced. They turned left. They went in circles. There was a truck race. I didn't see it. There was a
truck race. There was a truck race too, which I didn't see any.
No, but nobody's seen that. But Corey Haim was in it, and that's all I know. Didn't the Butterbean dude win or something, or was it someone else?
I believe.
Who names their kid Butterbean, or is that a nickname?
Well, I don't. That's a nickname.
Is it Butterbean or Butterball?
No, it's Butterbean.
Butterbean. Okay. Congratulations to that guy. Well, I think I had him in one of my NASCAR Heat 5 career mode episodes, actually. Is his last name Queen?
He wasn't already. Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Brendan Queen or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I had him in a career mode video one time.
I was going to say I'd be surprised if he wasn't in your actual career mode, because he's technically a prospect in NASCAR.
We had him in season 2, and then we got rid of him. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, he wins, I guess. Truck Series, yeah. The only thing I saw in trucks was the big pile up on the restart.
Yeah,
that was interesting. I was more focused on the booth for that and how lackluster the commentary was for half the field crashing. Typical Fox, basically. But I can't really speak on the rest of the race. I don't know. Was it good? Did it look similar to the Cup race? What was the vibe there?
The race was pretty darn good. It got a little stupid and silly towards the end, as the Truck Series can sometimes. The booth, it's another one of those instances where the racing is really good, but the booth is so fucking bad it kind of takes away from it. And as Fox usually does, the booth and the overall production was so bad that it did take away from the race, but it was pretty damn good. I think as that surface is worn since it was repaved, it has become a really good racetrack again in Michigan, and all it does is make me miss Auto Club more, but that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, it was a really good race. It was just the booth was really, really bad as usual. Regan was okay. He was the okayest part of that
Regan
booth.
Smith was in it?
Yeah.
He still got me blocked on Twitter.
I mean, is that really a bad thing?
Absolutely not. He's probably still tweeting about COVID.
Yeah. But he was okay in the booth. I didn't mind him being in the booth, but Michael Waltrip's bad, right? He had a historically bad day yesterday, though. I don't know what in the world was on.
Where did Ben Rhodes come from?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
I saw that.
I forgot he did that.
I saw that on Twitter. I was like, what?
That was somehow not the dumbest or worst thing he said yesterday. That was so yeah. I forgot that happened. The other part too, where they're crashing down the backer in turn 3, whatever it was, and then he goes, "Oh, there's a caution." Yeah, motherfucker, they're crashing. What do you mean? So stupid, man. I'm so over.
He leaked the Cleetus McFarland too. Right? He also leaked the whole Cleetus McFarland going to trucks next year.
Yeah. He was like, I hope they announce Cleetus McFarland going to Dodge full time in the Truck Series next year, and it's like, okay, thanks, brother.
I myself don't really have a problem with that, but.
I don't either, because it's the worst kept secret, right?
Yeah,
but it's also just
everyone already knows.
You really gotta, and you know that all the industry people know as well. They have ins. They knew what was coming, but it's just you as a person on air for NASCAR, representing NASCAR, are just gonna go and just leak that like that. That's kind of weird. I have a feeling that NASCAR probably wasn't too happy about that. If I'm guessing, NASCAR or Dodge or somebody probably was like, "Brother, shut your trap. Do not say that." because I feel like if they had a deal done with all that, they would have announced that today too to build up more hype. And the fact that they didn't tells me that they're still working on stuff. So they probably were like, "Shut your fucking mouth! It's not done yet."
You know, that brings up another conversation before we dive into Michigan and the Cup Series. I feel like we might have different opinions on this. I don't know. What are your thoughts on, like, nowadays, all announcements, big silly season, like, things we all know before they get announced because, like, someone drops it on Twitter, like Jordan Bianchi comes in and is like, this is happening, or we get it from some other insider. What are your thoughts about those people leaking it before the announcement? Because I see a lot of people, like, complain about that, how they're like, they shouldn't be leaking these things, blah blah blah. My opinion is always simple. I'm like, they should just announce it before it gets put out. In my opinion, it's the fault of the people that already have the deal done. I'm like, if it's done, you should announce it before it has the time to go out and get leaked. Should it be leaked? No, but that's how the world works nowadays. You shouldn't complain that you were slower to put out your own information.
It's easy, like, okay, just like your opinion earlier of, like, if you aren't willing to put the money in, then I don't want you in my sport. It's easy to have that opinion with rose-colored glasses. It's easy to have that opinion without looking at any kind of semantics. It's sure, I can agree with you that just announce it right away if you don't want it to get leaked. Right?
Obviously, there's so many complications, right, that keep them from announcing.
They want to set up an event for it. Yeah. They want to make it a big deal to be announced. They want to set up a specific time. They want to do it a specific way. It takes time to do that.
But that's not how the world works now.
I agree that there's always a high chance. The longer you delay something, it is going to get leaked, and you put yourself at risk for that. And I would assume that companies accept that risk. They know that stuff is potentially going to get leaked, and they don't really care because they still want to be the ones to officially announce it anyways. So they probably don't care that much that stuff gets leaked. Like, the only thing I can think of most of the time in the sports world, if a legitimate sports, what's the word I'm looking for? Journalist is producing articles of, like, leaked, this is happening, it's because they got it from a source that either that company is okay with it getting leaked and maybe they pushed it to get leaked, or just a source somewhere in the company that lets a little information leak and then you can go from there. We have other times, like almost with this Dodge announcement, where there was a little slip up in a YouTube video where you saw the Dodge car in the background.
I think that was intentional.
Before the next gen was announced, it probably was. Well, actually, no, because that video got unlisted. Like, after it went viral on Twitter, after it went popular on Twitter with everybody seeing the Ram, the video got unlisted. So I don't think it was intentional, actually. I don't think he was supposed to show that part, and they missed it, I guess, if he had to do any kind of checking or whatever. They missed that part, and then attention got brought to it, and then they were probably like, take it down and change that part. You also think back to the next gen thing, though, where the photographer, whoever it was at the
I remember that
shoot, leaked the pictures of that. That is an unplanned leak that did not come from official sources, where somebody was probably actually fired and actually upset about that. So leaks are going to happen nowadays with social media, with everybody having a phone, access to easy pictures, access to easy information. Leaks are going to happen. I would agree, though. I kind of hate when leaks happen. I do want to be, like, surprised by things. It feels like we're not surprised by any big announcements anymore. But I'm not. My panties are not in a bunch about it, really. I don't care that much. If I had my way, things wouldn't really ever get leaked, but I don't really care that much.
Michigan Cup Series Sunday.
I ranted on that one. I've been ranting a lot.
Have we both been
blabbing on a lot? Yeah.
That race was fantastic, as we said at the beginning of the episode. The restarts were wild. I mean, the original start was fairly calm, and then pretty well every single restart after that was quite wild. But, I mean, momentum was everything in Michigan. And, I mean, you can, with the way the next-gen car is and the horsepower, blah, 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 I mean, you know it's going to be like that when you go into Michigan. So, I mean, overall, though. Go on.
We saw that even with the truck series, and technically they're not exactly the best example either, because it's not like they're high horsepower, low downforce. But I feel like that's just a product of Michigan. It's a product of those bigger tracks. You're gonna have to rely on the draft and rely on momentum. And of course, it's a bigger deal when you have, when you have momentum be such a big deal with this car in general. But that's just a product of Michigan. I don't think it's that big of a deal there because they're still going really fast and able to actually.
Yeah, they were
pass,
going
which
over
is nice.
200.
The
Not
thing
by
I
much,
didn't like
but
was
they were.
the not much. Yeah, the thing I don't like about it is the not much drop off in corner speed.
And tires were nothing. Tires didn't mean anything, it seemed like. I mean, like...
It was weird to see that there was tire issues, but, like, there was no fall off to the tires, which
Yeah, it was
odd.
like either you were good or your tire was literally just
Yeah.
flat. It was interesting. It was
Yeah.
like there was no in-between. So
again,
once again, that was a bit annoying.
Getting a phone call.
Oh,
I'll be
Jay's
right back.
getting a phone call. We'll actually pause, and then we'll come back. Jay's back. Not sure how long for. We'll find out. But we were going on about the racing and whatnot, and the just momentum-based racing, which is just, very common for the next-gen era that we're currently in. But it was exciting to watch, Jay. I mean, the restarts, they were going 3 and 4 wide. We had that, bit of the race where it kind of got, a bit wild and out of control, and they kind of kept crashing there for about 10 minutes. Alex Bowman had, maybe one of the hardest hits of the next-gen era.
Yeah.
I mean, that was massive. And they weren't even up to full speed. I mean, imagine if that was if that happened in, turn, what? No, it did happen in turn 3, didn't it? Or was it turn 1?
No, it was in turn 1.
Okay, imagine if that was in, the opposite end of the track.
Yeah, if they were fully up to speed, that would have been very much not good. Glad he was able to get out of the car though, because that for a moment that was pretty scary. So I'm glad he was able to get out of the car. Hopefully he's okay. He seemed okay in his interview. He mentioned that it hurt though, so I'm sure that give time for adrenaline to wear off and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he's gonna at the very least be sore, but hopefully that's it. Hopefully there's no long term or any kind of worse injury for Bowman. But I can't remember a time where I've seen the next gen pancake like that. I mean, maybe one or two of Blaney,
if you
at Daytona
and Nashville or whatever it was last year when he pancaked the inside wall.
Oh yeah, that too.
With no safer barrier.
But other than that, we've seen this next gen take some hard hits and it hasn't really crumpled that much. But that one was pancake. I mean, holy cow! It was destroyed.
Yeah, you know what? When that happens, it's a big hit in the next gen car. But yeah, hopefully Bowman will be fine and ready to race next week in Mexico. But things kind of calmed down. I mean, tire issues kind of lingered throughout the race, which was that played a bit of an interesting dynamic. And I mean, I thought Blaney had one of the best cars. And obviously he ended up with a tire issue, wrecked himself there. But it was really interesting because the bunch of cautions we got really kind of really changed things up. And it almost felt like at some points we were watching a wild card race. It's just you had some of the best cars that were all of a sudden in the back half of the field, and they were having to figure out some stuff. And we even saw Chase Elliott get up there and lead some laps. I completely forget nowadays that Chase Elliott's even in the Cup Series until he's up front. I'm like, oh my God, he's still here. And I mean, I'll tell you what, talk about a strategy flop. I mean, they stayed out on the caution. They should have pitted. And I knew when they did that, I was like, well, his race is probably screwed now. And I wasn't complaining. And sure enough, his race was screwed. He finished 15th or something. But he looked really good in the clean air, and I was like, oh my God, he's actually got some speed. But yeah, they really sucked there. And it was you go on Twitter again, it's just your Chase Elliott fans that are like, Alan Gustafson needs to go right now. But yeah, I mean,
in fairness, we were there, and we had him as crew chief.
That is true.
It was not fun times.
We know what the Chase Elliott fans are dealing with as Jeff Gordon fans.
And I'll be honest, I'm not a Chase Elliott fan, but I kind of feel him because, like you were just saying, those strategy calls were pretty baffling.
It is surprising they've kept them together that long. Yeah, you would think a change has to be coming at some point.
Yeah, you would expect Hendrick to have already made a change. Like you said, I'm surprised that they haven't to this point.
It reminds
And
me of them trying to keep Jimmy and Chad together in those last couple years where it really was starting to kind of not work.
yeah, I don't know if you can like
A very different situation.
yeah, because Chad Knaus is a legendary
Yeah.
crew chief, if not one of the best crew chiefs of all time. Gustafson, while a good crew chief, is not Chad Knaus, and Chase Elliott is not Jimmy Johnson. So it's a bit of a different scenario. But yeah, it is surprising that they're keeping them together this long. And I wonder if maybe that's like a Chase thing. I think that if he really cared that much, he probably would be, trying to get a change made. It wouldn't surprise me that much at all if Chase really does not care a whole lot about NASCAR right now, though, because I get the feeling, and I've seen others say this, I get the feeling that he hates the current state of NASCAR, so he just does not really care.
He's
It
an
would not surprise
interesting
me at all if that were
character.
true.
He's a very interesting character. He's like a hard read. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
like, does
is
this guy
yeah.
want to be here? I would have to think he does because, he keeps showing up every year and he's fighting hard. But I don't know. It just seems like anytime you hear him talk about stuff and his just overall kind of attitude, I'm like, you would think bro just doesn't care. And, like the
Yeah,
way he talked about the Netflix series, for example, I'm like, these key moments that can help grow your sport, you just don't care about. And I get every driver's different, but I don't really I don't really care for a driver when they neglect the growth of our sport that needs growing right now.
yeah, I do fully agree with that. I feel like as much as Chase is obligated to a private life and to his own opinions and thoughts on things, right? Like as much as he's obligated to that, every person is obligated to that, whether you are a sports personality or not, famous person or not. It's like take a second to realize how important you are to the sport,
And
how
fortunate
important
you
you are
are.
to your fans. I I think he realizes that. I don't think he's that arrogant. Like I don't think Chase Elliott is at all arrogant. I think he just likes having a private life, which is what keeps him mellowed out and not really doing much and not wanting to be like the face of NASCAR. But let's be honest here. He is. He's got an incredibly popular fan base. Uh it's at some point he's got to realize that he means a lot to NASCAR. He means a lot to NASCAR fans. And like I was saying before, personalities are the things that will help grow the sport. And Chase Elliott having a personality would mean a lot to NASCAR because he would help a lot of growth if he started to show a little bit of personality and show a little bit of, I don't care or anger or anything, just show anything to get anybody excited if you get into a big moment, whether it be a wreck, a crash, or a win or whatever.
It's like I like to use Max Verstappen as an example. Weird segue. I like Max Verstappen, but one part I really don't like about him is how he is, very against doing like all the media stuff and whatnot, and he always kind of turns it away if he can. And I'm like, you grew up your entire life wanting to be a Formula One driver, like. These are obligations of being a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
You need to accept that. And it's the same for Chase Elliott. I'm like, bro, you grew up, you watched your dad as well. You had firsthand experience of what it being a NASCAR driver is like. If you're going to go into that position, there's obligations there that you need to be accepting of and not just like, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I always find that to be silly. And yeah, that's one part of Verstappen I really don't like. I mean, I understand it. Everybody's different, but I'm like, you wanted to be here. You worked really hard to be here. There's obligations that you have in this position to grow your sport and, do everything. And you're not only growing your sport, you're of course, in creating more awareness for your team. You're helping not only the sport, you're helping your team, you're everybody. And when you neglect that, I just don't like that. I don't like any driver that neglects their kind of opportunities to help everybody grow and get into a better position long term.
No,
Anyways.
that's totally fair, and I do very much agree with you. I do feel like you've got to realize that things come with being a NASCAR Cup Series driver or a Formula One driver, for both Chase Elliott and Max Verstappen, with being a championship winning
Yeah,
driver,
both are
with being
faces of
a
their sport.
popular driver. Yeah, it's things come with that, and that's going to mean you taking some extra liberty and being there for sponsor things, being there for media obligations, for whatever it is, and not only being there for the time you're there, at least pretend like you care. At least
Yeah,
pretend
you don't
like you want
actually
to
have
be
to
there.
care, but put on an act and we'll accept it. Like,
That is the biggest thing that I think that annoys me about Chase Elliott, and I think we've kind of already said this, but I just want to say it again. He's just so nonchalant about everything. He seems like he doesn't give a fuck about anything, and I think that's just genuinely his personality. I don't think it is him being a dick or arrogant or anything. I think he's just so nonchalant about everything. It makes him seem like he doesn't care, and it's something that annoys me the most about him. Like, show some emotion, please.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to get caught up in all that, but man, we have gotten so off topic today.
Yeah, we have.
We're almost
Speaking
an
of
hour
which,
in.
I've got to go again and come back whenever I'm ready to be back.
All right, all right. We'll press
I'll be
pause
back.
here. So we'll dive back into the race now, and we had just talked about, of course, all the kind of crashes and the strategy with the 9 there, and the kind of the best cars in the field going back and having to find their way back forward, and it was a really interesting dynamic that we had, and different strategies were able to kind of take place. And you know what was also, actually, I completely forgot to mention this, what I really liked, Jay, was I mean, how often do we get in the next gen or just stage racing era a proper fuel mileage race? Like, I can't remember the last time we had a fuel mileage race.
Yeah, and it was, like you said, it was nice to have that. Not only was it nice to have that, it was nice to, which you've already kind of touched on, but it was nice to have all the differing strategies throughout the race that eventually still led to a fuel mileage race at the end. And it was nice to see some actual, like, the crew chiefs were forced to actually make some strategy this time, and not just everybody does the same exact thing and then it doesn't really matter. It was nice to not only have the fuel mileage race, but then be in a situation where some were good on fuel, like Denny Hamlin was, like Bubba Wallace was, like maybe Chase Elliott was. I'm sure there was a few others too. It's just Amazon didn't pinpoint those very much. But it was nice to have that, and I, I could say I hope we get more of it. I feel like that hope would go very much unfounded. We would not have any more or much more fuel mileage racing. But Hamlin once again comes out on top of fuel mileage. Once again, you put him and his team into a position where they either have to save fuel or save tires, and it seems like Hamlin is able to come out on top of that, whether that be just experience or the team performance overall, this time specifically with the fuel mileage, whatever it is. The 11 car does really well when you actually have to manage your stuff versus just 100% every single lap, every single time, and we don't have to think about anything other than just mash the pedal through the floor.
Definitely does seem like Denny Hamlin kind of thrives when it almost turns into a more old school, natural kind of like NASCAR race, and it really, like, there's time for things to like really play out. I feel like he thrives. So does like a Brian Blaney as well. I kind of feel like those two kind of really thrive on, when a race turns into, kind of what it used to be, pre-stage racing and chaos and overtime type stuff.
In a way, I want to be like, it's the Cup Series. You should go 100% of the time every single lap, and it's a good thing when they're always charging and they're not giving each other any breaks, and they're always just pushing the equipment to the max and all that kind of stuff. Like, in a way, you want to say that and you want to like tout that as a good thing, but in reality, I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is good for everybody to just be pushing 100% super aggressive, super maximum all the time. I don't know if that is a good thing in reality.
No, I don't know. I kind of like see both sides to it, where I want to see drivers kind of saving and saving tire and stuff like that, and managing their car over the race. But also there's the cool thing of, like I like the other side of it at the same time, where it's like knowing all race long, well, that guy is pushing that car to the absolute maximum the entire race. Like, I also find that really cool. I find both kind of really cool.
That's why I have a hard time like figuring out which one I prefer,
I don't think I prefer one over the other. Because I don't know, it's weird. Yeah, they're both very different, but they're both really cool in their own way. But yeah, I mean, Denny Hamlin, comes out on top of the fuel strategy, and you know what I really liked as well was, and maybe this is just because it feels like it's been so long since we've had a proper fuel mileage race, so maybe I'm just not remembering things the same, but maybe it was different, where it felt like, with the way the booth was with Amazon, we had all of these different situations playing out for, say, Hocevar had zero chance of making it to the end of the race, which I was confused why. He had his tire failure, which obviously put him in the pit lane early, but everyone was like, man, like he was going to win that race. I'm like, he wasn't even going to make it to the end. Like, there was guys behind him that were good on feel, and they're like, Hocevar was going to win that thing. I'm like, he wasn't going to win. They said he was 4 laps short. But then, you had all these different scenarios with him. You had Byron, you had Hamlin, Larson, Gibbs, all those guys. And it felt like Amazon did such a good job of allowing us to know what the situation was for each of those drivers.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on that. And Amazon or Steve Letarte, either one you want to give credit to, or maybe both deserve the credit. But just, there is no one better at keeping us informed, at explaining the strategy, at making things easy to digest and to understand what is going on than Steve Letarte.
100%.
I think we've talked about this before, but even if we have, I'm going to bring it up again. There is no better analyst we have in the booth than Steve Letarte. There's no better strategist we have in the booth than Steve Letarte. I love Larry Mack. Nobody does it like Steve Letarte, though. The man is just a numbers machine. He is on top of it. It is insane how much he brings to the broadcast, how much positive stuff he brings to the broadcast. And he is just, it almost makes you wonder how he didn't get more wins as a crew chief, because I can only imagine that he was the exact same way as a crew chief.
His driver was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's okay. I didn't want to go there, but you did. He also had Jeff Gordon, though, at one point, and they didn't do too well.
Yeah, well, they won 6-7 races together in their first year, and then won one race together in the next 3. I'm just joking. Dale Jr. is a great driver.
But man, Steve Letarte is such a huge bonus to any booth he's in. And I'm so glad we have him from now until the rest of the year with Amazon, TNT, and then NBC, because he does a phenomenal job. The standout job, the standard for being an analyst and keeping everybody informed on strategy. He should 100%, any future broadcasters that come in and take over his role whenever he's done, or do it for other networks, they should base themselves off of the way Steve Letarte does it, because there's nobody better.
They will have very big shoes to fill. We gripe on AI, but that whole burn bar.
That's a time when I think it's kind of
I
cool
like
to
it
have. I'll be
because
honest.
like previously, like they would talk about what drivers are saving fuel, and all they could really show us was more of like the throttle inputs and them kind of letting off the gas on the straightaways, that kind of stuff. But now you get this AI burn bar, and it's showing the miles per gallon, and that simple thing really shows you the difference in who's saving more fuel.
The only thing I dislike about it is, if the broadcast have it, the teams have it too. They probably had it before the broadcast.
True.
The teams have technology like that too. And the only reason I dislike that is because so much of the sport is the guessing game and hoping to God you got things right. And having such accurate technology like that, which this is the same problem we get into with everybody running the same setups now, and the same this and the same that. you get everything brought down to such a finite science and a finite number. It takes the guesswork out of it, and it almost takes the humanity out of it. That's kind of the only thing I don't like about it, because I know if the broadcast has it, the teams are going to have it. They probably have an even better version of it or their own versions of it, which calculates, the way they want it to. And it just kind of takes the human error, the human guesswork out of it, which is probably the only reason why I dislike a technology like that.
There was one point where they played the host of ours radio, and they were talking about, they're like, the 5 cars is saving this much more right now than you and the 24. And it was at that moment I thought to myself, I was like, man, like, I really hate that every team has all the access in the world to any other car in the field. Yeah. Because not only for that, but just, you can see exactly what a driver's doing on throttle, steering, brake, and you can now mimic, the characteristics of any driver in the field you want, effectively, eliminating the world-class given talent that someone might bring to the sport. Like Kyle Larson's a great example. No one should be able to go and just see exactly what the top guy in the sport's able to do and then just be able to copy paste it. It just, that one, I've heard, of course, Denny Hamlin's talked about how it hurts the sport. And, it's a whole separate conversation there. But it came to my mind when I heard that radio bit. I was just like, man, I really hate that they just have so much access to each other. Yeah. I get it if you're like, Hendrick drivers can maybe access their own teams, Larson and Elliott and those guys.
Access their team stuff,
but you should not be able to access a rival team or anything like that ever. I just don't. I don't understand that. Especially a
manufacturer as well.
Oh yeah, it's surprising that you would think the manufacturers would push against that. Like if you're Chevrolet, do you want guys at Ford being able to mimic what Kyle Larson does? You have one of the best drivers in the world. For your manufacturer, do you want Ford drivers or Toyota drivers to be able to see exactly what he's doing and then copy that?
I would imagine there is pushback from, it probably swings back and forth. I bet you that there's pushback from the top manufacturer, and the other two are like, well, no, let us see it. And then if the top manufacturer swings, it's then that one's pushing back, and the other two are now like, well, no, we want it. So I bet you the pendulum swings back and forth on that one. The manufacturer is pushing for it and then also pushing for it to go away. I don't know if we'll ever see NASCAR get rid of it. I think we will. It's here. It's probably here to. No, I think it might be here to stay at this point. I don't know if NASCAR will get rid of it, but I kind of hope they do. I think the combination of all the info available, the way the cars are built now, the rules and regulations of the sport, you throw that all together, and I think that's why we have the racing we have nowadays. It might be as simple as take the information away and the racing will get better, it'll get different. I don't know. That's maybe wishful thinking, but it's the combination of all that together has led to where we're at now and the racing product to be where it's at now, because the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series don't have the same access as the Cup Series does. They just, whether it be rules or whether it be the money the teams have, they don't have the same access the Cup teams do as far as information goes. And the Truck Series regulations, they're not set up to be the most blazing fast, the most exciting racing ever with the rules and regulations, and yet their races, when they're good, they're good. And it could be an information thing. So I don't know. It could be me coping a little bit that they could just get rid of info and suddenly the Cup Series will be fixed, right? But I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think NASCAR could do to fix the situation we're in that is not just, hey, horsepower, hey, downforce changes. I think they could do a lot to make positive changes, but they won't. There's a lot of things they won't change that they could.
It costs money, and we can't spend money right now.
They can't spend money, but the teams are having to quite literally rush out of Michigan to make it to the border in time to get to Mexico City, because they have to do a 1-day, 10-hour trip over the next week, or over the next few days to get to Mexico in time. But we have to save the team's money. We have to go from the furthest point north to the furthest point south. But we have to save the team's money, Gary. We have to save the team's money.
Hey, it's all about saving money. Hey, it's not coming out of their pocket. What do they care?
I wish they would have that sentiment for other things. Then, if they're all about saving the team's money, well, then maybe don't be all about saving teams money if you don't actually really care,
100%. Look, I want to look at some of the finishing results today and see if we missed any key drive. Chris Buescher had a great race. Bubba Wallace in fourth.
To a top 5, I think. Did he pass Larson or not? No, he was ahead of Bubba, wasn't he? I think he finished third, right?
Buescher finished second.
He finished second. Oh, that's right. Because Byron ran out of fuel.
Yeah, Gibbs third.
Okay. Yeah.
Fourth for Bubba, and then Larson fifth. I said Toyota was probably going to win, and they had 3 of the top 5 there. Larson rounded out the top 5. Zane Smith, you and I were texting about Zane Smith in that call to stay out.
And I thought that it was going to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Yeah, he still finished top 10.
Shout out to him. Brad Keselowski top 10 with Ryan. Actually, all of RFK in the top 10. It's got to be the first time this year.
Where did McDowell finish?
Michael McDowell
also was on the 2 tires.
30th.
That's why I'm curious. Oh my God.
Bro got beat by Cody Ware. Yeah, I would imagine so, because even the 24 beat him, and the 77.
Yeah. So he ran out of fuel then.
SVG P18, another top 20 on an oval. Every time
by some drivers running out of fuel,
that did help. He was like 22nd or so before that, which is still an improvement. So once again, every episode
driver a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Bubba went from I don't know. I think it was around 17th, if not almost outside of the top 20, all the way up to 4th on the last run. He was fucking hauling ass. I think if there was a few more laps, he could have had a chance to get to top 2. I don't think he would have gotten Denny, because Denny, once he got out in the front, was hauling ass and was pulling away. But Bubba was moving that final run. I guess that they were 100% good on fuel, and he was just 100% the entire time, and he was flying.
Eric Jones P11. Another solid result for a legacy
before
car.
John Hunter crashed, he was running decent too, I think. Before his couple of incidents.
Well, he was running at the back when he wrecked first time.
I think I'm entirely wrong. Never mind. I believe that was Eric Jones.
And then he wrecked again.
Because he was in the Dollar General car. So never mind.
Penske had a rough day. Logano was their best result in 22nd. Riley Herbst, who is like 23-11, but just no one knows about him. 25th, and that's pretty well any notable stuff there.
I guess Briscoe must have run out of fuel too then. If
he's 23rd. He's 23rd.
I think it was just.
And he also got spun out and had issues with the Bowman crash.
Yeah. I think he was just genuinely terrible after that. How did McDowell finish behind Hocevar?
He had to have run out of fuel.
He had to have really run out of fuel.
Like down the back straightaway or something. He had to have been limping it around. Let's look at the playoffs. So Byron and Larson are the regular season battlers right now. Byron's got a 41-point margin. Hamlin's 82 back. So not fully out of the picture for the regular season title, but
I would say any of the top 5 are still in it. Maybe top 6 actually, all the way to Reddick. 116 out with
12 races.
12 races. Yeah, that's easily doable for some of those guys.
Not if the 24 and the 5 keep running top 5 every week, though.
That's true, but they're not mathematically out of it yet, I would say.
Playoff grid.
Is Blaney on down?
Yeah, Blaney's Blaney's 149 back. Actually, let's look. Let's see. I want to see where. Okay, Suarez is up to 28. He had a top 15. Shane Van Gisbergen's still 33rd.
Really?
It sucks he had such a terrible start to the year, so now he's putting these really solid finishes together, and he's not really gaining much in the points yet.
Yeah.
So, playoff grid. Larson's still at the top, of course. He's got 23 playoff points over Hamlin now, who's gained 5 more today. That puts him to second with 18. But looking at the actual cut line, we actually have a tie right now. It says so. Priest and Busch are tied for the last spot in. And then Hocevar is 18 points out. Same for Allmendinger. Stenos at 20 points out. We have a really close. I know we still got I guess 12 races they said to go in the regular season. So it's still pretty close now, but I mean we go in another 10 races, it's gonna look very different from what it looks like right now. But I mean, Bubba,
I would venture that I think that even Suarez being only 68 out right now, I don't
Is he
think
only
that is.
68
I,
up? Okay.
he's only 68 points out. It
That's hard to
like
believe.
SVG is in 33rd in points, and he's only 130 points out right now. That number is going to
Mathematically, you
continue to grow,
can.
obviously.
Yeah, mathematically, you can
Yeah,
make that up, but he
mathematically, he's
won't.
still in it. But that number of cars that is going to be able to point their way into the playoffs is going to shrink, and I would guess we will maybe get down to the top 20 in points that could have a shot at pointing their way in with a few races to go. And it's that's the way it should be, anyways. We shouldn't have 30 cars with the ability to point their way into the playoffs, and should be the same with winning too. We shouldn't have 30 cars that all they got to do is win one race and win the playoffs. But NASCAR. So
Bubba Wallace, he's 61 above, which is a little bit of an improvement. Briscoe's 41, and then it gets close with Buescher at 20 above. Bowman, his season is in a downfall.
yeah, he is just absolutely in a spiral currently.
Yeah, it feels like every year we go through this, like, he in the first like 6-7 races he's on it. He's like a top 5 driver, and then we go through this kind of downfall spiral, and then he kind of cleans it up in the last handful of races just in time to kind of stay in the playoff. I feel like this year's we're seeing the exact same thing again.
I will say, considering he's still above the cut line currently, it's not by much, but he's still above it. That just shows how strong he was, because it's been like a month or more now of just awful results for the 48 car.
I think it was like in the last 6 races, it was like 4 of them were like 27th or worse.
Yeah,
something like that. I think that might have not been counting his crash today.
It's been the same for a little bit, the same for Bubba and Reddick as well, and the fact that they're both still above the cut line, and the fact that Reddick is 138 above the cut line still is kind of crazy. Which Reddick hasn't been struggling near as much as some others have, but for Tyler Reddick's standards, he's definitely had a rough month or so. And it didn't get much better today in Michigan either. He was running in the top 10 after all of the stuff that happened. He got himself back into the top 10 even after was he the one that got held up on pit road on the final stop by getting held in the box?
Yes.
Was that Reddick?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, he was in the top 10 after that, and then I think had to save fuel or something, and he slipped well outside the top 10, I believe.
Didn't he? I thought he finished in the top
10. Maybe he did by saving
fuel. No, he finished 13th.
When I checked, he was around there with like 10 to go. So
yeah. Yeah, there you have it. Actually, I'm curious what other series look like as well. I haven't looked at points anywhere else. Allgaier has a 92-point lead in Xfinity.
And Heim has a 100-something point lead.
133. Yeah. Jesus. A lot of the points aren't like super close. I remember like last year, everyone was hyping up in the Cup Series how close there was like 3 or 4 guys within like 40 points when it came down to the end of the regular season. They're like, this is why we shouldn't have the playoffs. This year it's kind of looking like things are going to spread out more, but obviously there's still plenty of time for that to change, and we could see some things change this weekend in Mexico. Jay, 65 laps of racing around Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I am fairly excited for that one. It starts at 3:00. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Xfinity. It's 100 laps in Cup. Okay. That'd be a long race. 100 laps around that track.
Are they doing the full circuit around there?
Yeah, but slightly different, kind of. It's long, but not the full like F1 version. Apparently. Oh,
really? Are they not?
There's like a shortcut some. No, I think they do the stadium. I think they do the long straightaway into turn 1, and then I think. You know how you go out of turn 1, then you have the little left-right chicane, then you go down that straightaway. Yeah. I think before I think they do the chicane and then they cut somewhere, and then head towards the stadium.
Where is there to cut in that?
I don't know.
I guess maybe there might be a turn off to the right.
I could be completely wrong, but I swear I've heard something like they're not doing the layout that F1 does. I know that.
Yeah, I think I have heard that. That's why I was curiously asking, because I thought I remember hearing that. Let me check here and see if I can track info. That looks like the full thing to me.
I wouldn't trust that. Honestly, I think NASCAR is incompetent.
Okay, hold on. I will go to Google then.
Yeah, Google it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think NASCAR is competent enough to. I mean, look, Jay. It says the caution speed at this track 0 miles per hour.
Wow, that's okay.
Are we red flagging the race?
Let's see. Layout confirmed. Okay, so they go through obviously down into turn 1. They do the little left-right chicane. Oh, this is weird.
It is
okay,
different,
it's
isn't
definitely
it?
not the F1 circuit, but it's
Yeah.
still long.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you. It is a 14 turn. Why do you got to list it in kilometers? What the fuck is a kilometer? Oh wait, here we go. 14 turn, 2.6 mile track.
2.6. Yeah, so it's still long.
No. Hold on. Oh, that's okay. This 2.6 miles is the usual circuit. So this one is shortened by 3 turns. It's normally 17 turns. Now it's 14. I don't know the mileage of it, but it's still going to be long.
And the 3 turns they probably removed were at the end of that second straightaway with the left, right, right, isn't it?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. It'll be an interesting race. Do we have anything left? Anything else to add for Michigan?
I don't think I've got anything else.
We had a good time watching. And I guess we
fun.
can dive into our race picks for. Do we have Canadian Grand Prix this weekend too, don't we? Yes, we do.
Yeah, I guess we do.
Let's go. So last time we did
I'm
picks
looking
was
at
Nashville, but go on.
I'm still on the Mexico City layout. I'm looking at where they removed the turn. I can't figure this out.
Well, okay, where is it? Where are you seeing it at?
Oh wait, no, hold on. No, I do see it. They did. Okay, so they removed the. You do the little left, right after the after turn 1.
Yeah.
Then there's the next set of corners. They remove that, and then you just go down. It's in a straight like sweeping right-hander now, and then it's on the S's and into the stadium section. So it's front straightaway, turns, another long straightaway, then turn, S's, straightaway, stadium section, back to the front straightaway again.
I think the only exciting part of this race is going to be turn 1.
Yeah, probably.
I'm calling it now. It's probably going to be the worst road race of the year. I just don't think. I
I
could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I want this track to succeed.
I don't think it'll be the worst one of the year because I think it's a.
Oh,
new
we do have
track.
Sonoma
I think
coming.
Yeah, Sonoma will be the worst one by far. I think this one has a chance to be the second worst because Coda was pretty good, and then Chicago and Watkins Glen still have a chance to be really good. But I think just because it's a new track, I think it's going to be chaotic and silly and dumb. But as far as actual racing, it probably will be kind of rough.
I'm excited for the restarts.
Yeah,
That's gonna
I'm
be
excited
fun.
to see.
They're going to be drafting each
Restarts
other
in
all
like
the
a
way down
lap
there
or
into
two
turn
after
1.
that.
It's going to be wild. So last time we did picks was Nashville, and I picked Denny Hamlin, and you picked Ross Chastain, which means I beat you because Hamlin finished 3rd in Nashville.
Oh, this is a giant
Chastain.
callback. I forgot to
Oh,
look
he's
this
still
up while
going
you're
on
looking
about
that up.
this.
No. This is a giant callback to earlier where you were asking about the total audience the NFL has. The best answer I've got for you that I don't know how accurate it is 400 million. So quite a lot more than NASCAR.
A couple.
Couple more.
Well, there you have it. Race picks. Nashville. I beat Jay. Jay picked Chastain. I picked Denny Hamlin. Chastain finished 11th. Hamlin finished 3rd. So I get to pick for Mexico. Mexico. NASCAR. Mexico. Is it just... Yeah, trucks aren't going there, right?
It's just Xfinity and Cup.
Yeah.
And the Mexico Series, but obviously I don't think we're making
No
picks
one's
for that.
watching that. I think the obvious pick should be Shane Van Gisbergen.
No, I don't think so.
But I think this race is going to be so unpredictable. Restarts are going to be a bit of a throwback to the stupidity that we got in turn 1 before, like Indy road course. Circuit of the Americas, stuff like that. I think that no one's really going to be safe. So I really feel like this could go any way. I think this is probably the hardest race so far to choose a driver for, because I really don't think who wins is going to fully come down to skill. It's going to come down to survival on restarts. So Jay, that's why I'm going to go with. There's two names I'm looking at.
I have two as well.
I'll tell you the two names I'm looking at: Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain.
Not who I'm looking at.
I'm gonna go with. Give me Tyler Reddick.
My two names are obviously SVG, and then you're gonna have to hear me out on the second name, okay?
Cody Ware.
Second one I'm looking at is Joey Logano.
Because he's gonna bulldoze all the cars in front of him.
Well, no, not necessarily why. It's just every time we get a new track,
He wins.
it seems
Bro,
like Joey Logano finds
he ain't
a way to
gonna win a
win.
road course, my man. He has won at Watkins Glen like 10 years ago,
SVG, and then SVG was the last one to win at the last new road course we got. So I feel like those two names are pretty strong to pick. But I'm gonna go with SVG.
Jay's taking SVG. Xfinity. I picked Allgaier. You picked Zillett. Oh, who won Nashville? Was it Allgaier? Let's go. Yeah, yeah.
So.
It was. I picked Allgaier, who won. You picked Zillett, who finished second. So
Wait. No, I think those picks were for Charlotte, right? Or were those
no, it
picks
says right here NASCAR Nashville, because we did the podcast
Oh.
after Charlotte. Remember, on the Monday.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna swap you this time. I'm gonna take Zillett for Mexico.
That's probably a good pick. I don't know who is running the Xfinity race. I don't know if they have any like Mexico Series drivers.
Yeah, I have
or
no
Cup
idea.
Series
I
drivers
feel
going
like they
down
probably
to the
will.
Xfinity Series. I'm sure they will. Like, there's definitely going to be some road course guys and some Cup guys doing the race. You chose the easy pick. I mean, I guess just because he's having one hell of a season, I'll go with Allgaier. But if I knew the entry list, I'd have a better pick. But I'm just gonna go with Allgaier.
I feel like every week it's just Allgaier for one of us, and then a Zillage or like other guy.
Like you got me this time though. Like picking Zillage this time was probably the better choice.
F1 in Canada. We have. What did we do last time? We picked. Okay, where did they race? Spain was the last race, correct?
Spain was the last one, but
we
was
picked
last
for
weekend, so I. Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Ducks. Yeah. I keep thinking.
Oscar Piastri won that race, didn't he? Yes, he did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the whole Max Verstappen, George Russell situation there, and
Oh yeah.
so that means you win because I picked Max Verstappen, and you picked Piastri. So you get first pick for F1 in Montreal.
But that being such a fast track, like obviously team is gonna matter there, I think. And I'm just gonna go with Piastri again.
Jay's going Piastri. I'm gonna take I'll take Norris. As much as I hate to, I will take Lando. So for Cup, I got Reddick, you got Shane Van Gisbergen. Xfinity, I got Zillage, Jay has Allgaier. F1, I've got Norris, Jay has Oscar Piastri. Hopefully Jay's right. I would love to see Piastri continue to win. And I guess that's pretty well it. Should be an interesting week at Montreal. Is always a pretty good race to watch for F1.
Is it going to be on at the same time as NASCAR?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That'd be really annoying. I think it will be.
Let me look.
I bet you they're both
F1
gonna start at 3.
Canada is on at 2.
So
okay, I mean,
that's only
and NASCAR says 3 o'clock, which means they'll be closer to 3:30 when they take the green.
You're probably right.
Wait. Oh no, it's Xfinity. So yeah, 3 o'clock. So yeah, it'd be closer to 3:30. So I mean, F1 will pretty well be wrapping up just about. We'll probably already know who the winner is by the time NASCAR is going green because you'll have a good enough margin. So it won't be that bad. All right. Well, there we have it. Any final thoughts? Anything to add, Mr. Cook?
I think we've yapped enough. I got nothing else.
We did a lot of side content talk on tonight's episode, but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll be back next week following Mexico, and we'll see how that one goes. Should be an exciting first race there. We'll see how it goes, but thank you guys as usual. Actually, you know what I wanted to do, Jay? We've been getting comments on the Spotify episodes. So I wanted to kind of like shout those out here. We got a comment from Taylay7573 10 days ago on the Charlotte episode. Says, listen to the podcast every week. As a Larson hater, this was a very good week. So, shout out to Taylay.
I appreciate you watching.
And
appreciate those that watch and comment. Or listen. Sorry, we do appreciate those that listen and comment and all that kind of stuff. What are we up to? Like, how are our Spotify numbers looking now?
Charlotte one didn't do that great. I have a feeling it has something to do with the fact that we were gone for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, we gotta get that consistency back.
Outside of that, looks like we are regularly doing double-digit numbers now.
Let's go. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We still got to get a guest.
We do.
We got to get the consistency thing sorted before we get a guest.
Yeah, I feel like if we can get back the consistency week to week again, we can get the guest we had planned.
We do have a planned guest.
I hope he's not like. I don't think he would be, but I hope he's not like mad that you brought it up and then we haven't.
Yeah. Hey, all I told him was I was like, hey, I'll reach out. So. I didn't say when. But yeah, I think 2 or 3 more weeks of consistency again, and then we can possibly get him on.
Yeah. But yeah, appreciate you guys listening and watching on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you watch and listen. I promise we'll get back to uploading consistently again and not missing weeks. We'll make it a habit of getting GURP to you weekly.
GURP. All right. That wraps it up. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever you do. And we'll see you guys later.